So
This is the most important thing is chapstick. As Napoleon Dynamite says, hey, can you bring me my chapstick? No. The nurse has like 20 on her desk. Get your own.
I got mine too. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question because this has to do with chapstick. Mm-hmm. Someone said, Ian, what would be the one thing that you brought on the island if you were on Survivor? And it's this. This is what I would bring.
Chapstick?
Yeah, because, I'm pasty, so I should probably bring sunscreen. Mm. But it would be a Napoleon Dynamite. My lips hurt real bad. Jen's in the house.
That's a long laugh track. Cheer track.
You deserve the length of it.
Oh, thanks. All right, here we are, episode 2 of Small Talk Tuesday. Wait, did it?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that is long. I am your host, Jennifer Razon, and today we have our awesome co-host once again,
Ian Hawk Cloud. I'm here. I go by Ian. I go by lots of people call me lots of things, I think.
Hopefully all good things.
It depends on the day. Hopefully on Tuesdays when they hear this,
Well, it's Thursday while we're recording this. What did he call you on Thursdays?
POS. You bad person. You're the worst. You need to shower.
Aw.
Where's my money? I'm just kidding.
I want my $2.
Then on Tuesdays, like, oh, he's so glorious, so kind. Angel.
Good to know. Mm-hmm. Good to know. First off, we're in episode 2. I didn't really think that we would make that decision or at least I would make that decision to make this official, but it is now. So we're an official podcast.
What made it official for you obviously the first episode, we didn't do any editing, right? It was just kind of straight.
Just like taking out like the, dead space and all that stuff. But I realized, it's one of those things where aside from me trying to come out of my own shell of being an introvert, I think it's a good way to kind of supplement, I have the YouTube channel and I like to show a lot of things, but there's some things that kind of behind the scenes sometimes that don't get talked about. It's being shown. So this is really like a supplement to what that is.
This is a contextual show. Jen's going to bring every Tuesday some context to the world. How'd that go? Fine?
It's like, that scene from SpongeBob and go, imagination. And you go.
Oh my God, that's my favorite sound effect right now. Small talk it.
Small talk. Let's small talk. Well, how was your weekend? How was the rain down here? A little intense?
Yeah, I mean, look, they call it weather in California, but like, oh my God, storm watch. And every other part of the country is just Tuesday. It's not that,
Well, spoiled with the sunshine, for sure. The rain, it's like, we definitely don't know what to do when it rains. Even in a little drizzle, I will admit, like, there's some points where I'm like, oh no.
Well, let me ask you, the thing is, I've always seen rain as the abundance, because it really is washing everything clean. Mm-hmm. But it's also providing so much nourishment, because the thing that kind of is always there is the sun, but it's, part of the growing the ecosystem is water, but we have this thing of like, it's raining, yet we need it. So I just don't understand where that comes from.
Well, the thing is, like, what we said earlier is like, we're spoiled with the sunshine. So we don't know how to deal when it rains down here, like how to maneuver it, if that makes any sense.
Why were you so, avoidant of getting wet? I'm just really confused.
It's like a cat not wanting to take a bath. You go.
I don't want to call you out. It's your podcast, but I have a question. That's not the sound effect for a question, but I think it's more like when it rains, you don't run outside. What do you do to run when it's raining?
Me? I run around my coffee table.
That's crazy.
I'll insert a clip here of me running around a coffee table, but It's literally like me in my apartment, my round coffee table going around in circles.
Thank God it's round, because if it's square, you're definitely going to hit a shin here and there.
That's why like I kind of like square it up when you turn the corners.
Do you have to move the table out a little bit so that you don't ding the couch or stub a toe?
There's luckily enough room for me to actually like just literally it's the size of like this big. Probably maybe 3 feet total. So
Yeah,
it's
like
not
a large dog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coffee table running around circles for however many miles I
Sub
need.
question is, do you wear your running shoes or barefoot or socks?
I used to do it barefoot, but then I realized the arches in my feet would ache afterwards. So I have my old running shoes that I cleaned off that I just dedicated for inside like workouts.
So you clean the bottom and you're like, okay, it's...
Yeah, so that one's just particularly for inside running.
And how far have you, what's that mileage count, that the longest run you've done in the living room?
When I used to do it previously, it was 13 miles. But that was like years ago. First marathon.
In your living room?
Yeah. For this time around, because it was raining last week Thursday, and then this last Monday, about 5 miles each. So
I thought you were an insane person for running marathons, but you're an insane person for running 5 miles in your living room. That's crazy.
It's like, well,
I mean, what do? You listen to music? You watch TV?
the music. I mean, there's only so much of my living room I could like look at.
But I'm saying, like, on the 17th rotation around the table, which is only like 0.25 miles, are you just kind of going like, what am I doing?
Nah.
Or are you more like Rocky 4, like you're just a hardcore training?
I kind of like ignore everything else. I just concentrate on the podcast or music.
Wow.
I'm in my own headspace at that moment.
Okay. I respect that. That's strong.
It does get boring after a while. I was like, ugh. That's why like yesterday I was so glad it stopped raining. It's like, I need to go outside.
7 minutes in, dude, I'm super bored. Super.
Well, the thing is, I don't have access to a treadmill, so I don't have a gym membership. It's one of those things where I never really wanted a gym membership-ish.
Coming back to the top, why not run outside in the rain?
I do if it's like a light drizzle to moderate rain, but if it's when it's heavy, like it was the last time.
2011 marathon, I ran LA Marathon, and was 3 inches of water, mile 2. It rained the whole time.
I'll do it for actual race day, but if it's like a training run, I mean.
You sound like a California person.
Because I am.
Yeah. That's a whole episode about being a Californian and how everyone hates us, but whatever.
Well, knock on wood, we won't get any more like kind of heavy rainish. So I could still continue running outside. But
no, you need the rain.
I know we do, but it's like, it's killing my vibe in terms of training.
No, it's not. You need to get out there in the rain.
I do.
But imagine you like go to Griffith Park, you start Travel Town, and you run all the way down the Horsies, and you basically put on a little poncho, and no one's there because it's raining, and you're one with nature. Come on.
Well, we'll see. I do have my regular routes. This is like one of those things because I do the back hills of Glendale and Burbank, and so it's like a lot of rolling hills. And the last time it rained, I got super, super soaked wet.
Didn't it feel good? Or were you cold?
I was cold. My socks were like squishy.
I had to change my socks twice during the marathon, the LA Marathon in 2011, and yeah, it didn't matter. You're underwater.
I remember seeing pictures of that. I was like, dude.
It was gnar. It was really gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad.
Well, hopefully we'll see what the weather's going to be like on race day, so.
I know, I'm like on the fence about running this 5K. I want to do it.
Do it.
Just support you. Just be
Come
like,
on.
hey, my friend's going to run further than me
You want to beat your
tomorrow.
previous time.
I'm more like finishing more than PR, I think.
Really?
I don't know.
I mean, you kind of want to make up for the last time that TV reporter kind of interrupted your flow.
Oh, I was on fire that day. The Rose Bowl. Yeah, I was feeling good about myself.
You were. And then all of a sudden.
But you know why?
Why?
I felt good? Because third baseman at the time of the Dodgers was Justin Turner, Redbeard.
Oh, he was there too.
And
I
he
remember.
was there, and I beat him. Yeah. I beat you, JT. Sorry.
I remember that. That was
Yeah.
fun.
It was a good day.
Yeah. It was a good day.
I felt strong.
Yeah.
First day.
No, you did really good actually. I remember you beat your time a little bit from the first 5K we did.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, no, you did a good job.
All right, you're like a running coach now. Yeah, I feel inspired.
Do it. Come on.
We'll do it.
I could use, a few running buddies with me. So yeah, so my birthday's coming up. That was really cool.
Yeah, let's talk about it. You're not supposed to. So first of all, people don't talk about age because they somehow, especially females, like don't ask my age. But age is really, to me, through what I've been through in life, surviving leukemia, is like age is the age of the body, not my spirit. So how do you feel turning years old?
I don't know where that whole idea of like not revealing your age comes from. It's like, aging is part of life, for one.
It's our nature.
And it's like, it shouldn't be something you feel ashamed to actually say how old you are. Like, I'm turning the big 40. So it's kind of reflecting back on also like all the life experiences that I've gotten to this point. And it's like, this is where I should be, at this moment in time.
I think that's really wise. Yeah. No matter where we are in the path, it's really, it's difficult for us to remember as humans, but and this, they would say like we're spiritual beings having a human experience. It's very important to understand that whatever stage, you're really right where you need to be. Yeah. I think there's this ageism probably especially in the United States where, the older you get, people seem like they want to say you're less relevant or you don't know as much or you're not. That's why we have a culture of older people suffering versus the idea that older people are our elders and we have so much to learn from them. And their value isn't so much about output or production, right?
Well, especially in our industry, the entertainment industry is really prevalent, where you reach a certain age bracket, I guess, and you're offered less roles or less jobs compared to those who are younger. So it's like,
yeah, I'm on the side that I think youth is wasted on the young. That's where I'm at. So
you've had your life experiences, so you've been there.
Yeah, I just think that when you're younger, you definitely have more ambition, but also a sense of naivete. So you kind of like, I know everything. And so there is a confidence that especially in our industry, is very attractive. Like, oh, they're so ambitious, outgoing, but they just lack the experience. When you're older, you just have a ton of experience. That's what makes, I think, us successful as, creators, artists, is, we've been through many, many years.
Yeah.
We went to grad school in 2004, 2005. Yeah.
I mean, you talked about this many times. It's like one of those things where we think we know everything when we're young, but when we don't. And then now we're at that point in our lives, we're going, we didn't know shit.
Or just more like, even now, I'm like, I know nothing.
And we're constantly learning so much over the years.
Yeah.
But we're also at that point in our lives where we're like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
What do you mean by that? Based on, your birthday is next Thursday, and you're turning years old. So what do you're saying, where you're at, where you're supposed to be? And
I mean, like, not everyone, but people, when they're at a point in their lives where they kind of feel comfortable of what path they're taking, you feel very comfortable in continuing that journey. Some people still continue to look for that journey throughout however many years, and some find it, some don't. For me personally, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be, like you and me doing this podcast right now. This is where we're supposed to be in terms of talking about all these different subjects, working together on all these different projects that we're working on right now. And whatever action I took before has led me to this.
If you were to dive deeper into that feeling, because I'm always kind of feeling between what I feel in my heart versus what I'm thinking in my mind, but like you describe it, what is that feeling though? What is the feeling? Is it flow? Is it alignment? Is it frequency, coherence? What is the thing that you feel?
I think it's more in terms of flow and connection.
There it is. That's the truth. Flow and connection. I mean, at the end of the day, that's essentially, Lao Tzu talks about the we're going into another area, I guess. But Lao Tzu talks in the Dao De Ching talks about really that, which is that there's emptiness, but there's a flow. There, I guess they would say in Star Wars, the way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing is that when you're in flow, when you're in the, you're not resisting the way, but you're within the flow of the way. It's all harmonious, right?
Exactly.
I think that's what you're talking about.
And look, now we're sitting here doing a podcast. That we never thought we'd be making a podcast at some point, but we're here.
Yeah, I thought we'd be doing it maybe in Hawaii, but
That would be nice.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? No, that was really bad. That's what I see. No, that's not a really good one. It wasn't that funny. Okay,
Who knows? We may be doing an episode in Hawaii one of these days. It could happen.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, absolutely.
On the sands, the beach, with a little, Mai Tai. Well, I don't like Mai Tais. Some kind of
margarita
or cocktail of some sort.
Mm-hmm. So, what else about age is striking you? Obviously, I think what's good about growing older is you come to a place of, some people would, are born, they get an education, they get a job and a family and a home, and they become rich or do a lot of experiences. And you're never really awake to what life is about, meaning like they never come to a stop where they can come into a place of reflection. And so curious for you, what is the, with your birthday, a week away, what are your, when people hear this 2 days away from your birthday, like what are some things you've been reflecting on?
A lot of like, what's going to happen after that point of turning the 40. Not really like looking to what the future's going to hold because we don't know what's going to happen, but hoping something's going to happen in terms of how we want things to go. I mean, we can't really place a time and place for anything. So it's just being, at peace with myself with a lot of things, letting go of things I don't need anymore. Just been reflecting on that lately.
What are you letting go of?
It's like random insecurities I kind of held on to when I was younger. I've gotten to that point where I was like, why am I? What? Why did I still have?
Is it you came to a realization and it no longer serves you, or?
Oh yeah, that no longer serves me, and it's like there's no point in keeping hold of that. So I was just like, toss it in the trash bucket, the imaginary trash bucket.
Yeah, like I love that feeling, right? If you have a Mac, you like drag it, delete, drag it to the trash can. It's the right click, empty trash sound of shh. So satisfying.
And then you move up to file and go empty trash.
That's so true. So true. So you're letting go of that. And then what about the reflection part? What really strikes you in the reflection? When you look at, because I'm in the know of some things you hope to achieve this year, which I think is phenomenal. Aside from that, though, what are other reflections? You spend a lot of time in the past thinking about the past or more reflecting about the future?
I think it's in the in-between. It's been teetering back and forth, like, I wish I did this before, but can I do it in the future? Or I shouldn't have done that in the past, so I won't do it in the future. So it's like a lot of back and forth in terms of that pendulum, like kind of trying to keep that balance between the two.
Yeah, the pendulum is beautiful. And I think that's kind of the letting go part. I think we struggle with, like, people are like, you see, just let it all go in meditation. And people are like, let go of what? It's like, I think it's really about the thoughts. It's kind of you put on repeat of the past. Like, if I had done it this way, if this didn't occur. And so we just kind of like, it's like a tape, VHS tape. All the young kids are like, what's a VHS tape? You just rewind it, you fast forward, go back. But there really is nothing there because there is no impact. I mean, we wouldn't be who we are today without that past, yeah?
Exactly. I mean, whatever happened in the past shapes us to the present. And the present is what we choose to help us shape us in the future.
That's really all we have is this moment, right? And that's...
and the thing is, we've talked about this many times, like, future is not necessarily guaranteed whatsoever. Yeah,
that's my language. Yeah. There's this great illusion of yesterday was... yesterday was Monday, and today's Tuesday, and tomorrow is Wednesday. But really, yesterday was today.
Yep. And
tomorrow will be again today. But we get locked in. And that's where the suffering for me is in the future is like I used to be so goal-oriented, and be very, not even aspirational, just ambitious. And that led to a lot of suffering because I spent all my time thinking about the future that wasn't real.
Yeah.
And also I learned that nothing ever happens the way we planned it. Not once.
No.
In my life. Is it for you?
There may be like maybe one small moments here and there where it kind of did, but most of the time it's just happenstance.
Yeah, I mean, I my whole life I thought I was planning the future of having long hair and, you know, putting my hair in a bun and all those things, and then you realize you have no hair, and you're like, dude, what was I doing? You know, wasted time.
I would pay to see you long hair. I've always like, no matter what, I've never been.
Oh, I have a major wig collection, and it's very impressive.
Oh, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, I'll send you photos. What's cool about like you're the host, but I'm just kind of like a mirror. Really, I mean, that's all we are, is mirrors reflecting, right?
Yeah, of course. It's like, you know, the people in our lives have some aspect or form of ourselves in them to a point, which is why they're in our lives, because we connect at some point. It's like we have that shared kind of like interest or like kind of personality. I can't even say that. Personality. There you go.
Yeah, personality.
Personality. So there's no matter, like, everyone in our lives, we have some sort of connection.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think connection is hard for some and easier for others. I think for me, a connection has become easier as I've kept my heart open. I think it's really, it's very common when we've been hurt in life. We have traumas, we close our heart down. Bad news, close our heart down. Heartbreak, close our heart down. Versus, keeping our heart open creates this kind of pure potentiality of connecting with not just everybody but ourselves, and knowing that we're part of this greater. We belong to each other, but also we're part of nature.
Kind of brings us back to why I'm training for this marathon, because it's connecting me with other runners. Connected me to you. It's one of those things that's
we're crazy people.
We're crazy, but we enjoy running, being out there on the road. So it's like it's connection and flow no matter what we do. It's like, again, we're all connected. Yeah,
I'm impressed with your mindfulness about it all. And I mean, what do you hope to accomplish at 40 now that what are some of the goals that you have?
Definitely a lot more travel. I would love to travel more. That's one of the things I want to do. And there's a couple of goals I want to keep like tight for now.
Yeah, keep them close.
Keep them close, because, it's one of those things where like if you put it out there too much, it won't happen.
Yeah, Bob Dylan said, don't tell people your dreams because they will crush them. That's true.
Yeah, so there's a few I want to keep tight to the chest. But when I'm ready to, let it be known.
Yeah.
But you are privy to a couple of them already. So.
I am. I'm in the know. Sorry, buddy. I think that with the new birthday, it's a new day, a new year of birth. It's really it's important not to look too far down the road. It's kind of like running. When I run, I never look out into the horizon. I'm always kind of have my head down, looking at my feet.
Me too.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Well, aside from the fact that the brim of my hat is like over my eyes, but a lot of times I do find myself just on the sidewalk on my feet.
Yeah, because if you look at the horizon, I mean, it's really relative, right, to life. It's like if you're running, and those that really run, you get into like many miles, you start to kind of get into, you don't zone out, you zone in. It's like a really focused, like just the gait, the footfall kind of tempo, pace. But if you look at the horizon, the trick is you might trip. I've tripped, I've eaten it, tripping on a curb or tripping on a rock. And so the idea is like running, I'm always looking 5 feet, 10 feet ahead of me, but on the ground, that's kind of relative to life. I think if we kind of keep our head open and looking at the horizon because we see something coming, like, around there's going to be a corner a mile from now, but always having our head a little bit slightly down, I think that's the way to keep ourselves right in the moment. That's why running is so, it's so magical, right? It keeps you right here, right now.
Exactly. I mean, I just did my 16-miler this last weekend, and I was pretty in a Zen mode for most of it. And that was pretty fun. I gotta say, it's like, we're here already?
So when you're running though, like I know the first few miles for me, like based on what you're saying, like the first few miles are always tough because like I don't know, like I'm like an old Chevy. Like you turn it on, it's like blah, 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 and then it's going. It's like it takes a few miles for me to like warm up, get out of my head, but get in. Like it's the first mile or two, I'm like complaining, like, oh, this feels weird, and my hip feels weird, or
Same.
blah 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 blah. All the voices, and then sure enough, like mile 1, mile 2, all of a sudden I've come out of my head into my body, and now it's flow. But how is that for you? Is it when you get in the Zen mode, are you at some point not really feeling much of your body because you're elsewhere, or?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually, because there comes a point where it kind of, I know, like it feels tough but comfortable. If that makes any sense. It's like you're going through the motions and you know what the motion is, but you're not feeling any kind of pain or hardship with it, and you're just like literally like just kind of like a thing that you do all the time almost.
Yeah, it's flow again, right?
Yeah.
Because typically the first for a few miles feels like it's not vigorous, but this like, yeah, it's this chunky, it's cranky. It's not really, you know.
I think for me, it's like usually after the third mile when I start kind of like getting into it.
Yeah, warmed up,
feeling good, climbing that big hill, going up to the hills.
I'm very excited for you. I think that 40s are a wonderful age, and I'm only
forward to it, actually.
Yeah, you should look forward to it. It's just interesting. In your 20s, you're trying to, for me at least, the 20s was, who am I? Trying to find myself, and then deeply identifying with what we do for a living. You know, I'm a writer, I'm a director, and then my 30s, as I became a father for the first time, I start to let go of those things, start to go deeper into like, what am I? Is like, I'm caring for somebody, but also now I have a role that's more devotional. By the time I hit my 40s, like I felt tired of trying to chase this imaginary thing that I thought I wanted versus just being with it all. Because my great fear now at this point is not really so much about dying. I know we're all going to die. For me, it's just not growing old. Yeah. I really want to grow old, and I think most people want to stay young. That's like their whole thing, right? Yeah. They do all the treatments because they want to be, whether it be Botox or red light, all those things that kind of keep ourselves young. Versus, I just hope to grow, take care of my body and wellness so that I can grow gracefully as an old person.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Very, very wise of you.
Or are you just looking at me like you're already old? She's looking at me like, yeah, he's old already.
The funny thing is we never act our age. It's like, what is age to begin with?
What does that mean? I get all defensive. You're saying I don't act 44? No, that's true. Our spirits are timeless.
I mean, I don't act like I'm 40.
That's true. Very true. Do you think there's value to this idea that, it's been said that, a really unique way of looking at the world is that we show up to every day as a beginner. That every day it's not a new beginning, but it is. But the idea that we show up to work thinking, oh, I already know all this stuff, or I know all these things, or I know how this is going to go. But you come to it with fresh eyes every day and go, hey, can I just be a beginner on this Tuesday? Like, not have so much opinion or, prerogative about things? What do you think?
That's a good way of looking at it, because, no matter what we do, we're always learning, no matter what. There's no point where it's like we already know what it is, but we're still learning. Even if we know something of that, whatever aspect it is, there's more that's coming towards us to add to it. So it's...
Do you have to be open to add to it? Because I feel like some people, they're kind of like I've been everywhere, I know everything, there's nothing to learn, versus the idea of what you're saying is like, we are eternal students, no?
Oh, yeah, you definitely have to be open to it, because if you're not, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck, and you're going to be complaining like, I'm still here, nothing's changing, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I'm guilty of having that thought as well. I mean, we all have at some point or other. But it's one of those things like you have to be open to accepting that, things will change, things will come and go, things will come to us where we learn some kind of lesson. And we could take that lesson, either implement it in some way or go, F it, staying here.
Yeah, it's all impermanence. And like you said, you learn. Let me ask you, have you learned more from the things from good outcome or from bad things? Have you learned more from bad things or bad experiences?
It's a mix of both, I think. I believe, at least for me, from my experiences, where definitely the negative, you can implement changes to not happen again, for it to not happen again. The positive ones, you can take that and just go with it. So it's definitely a mix of both.
I agree. Yeah, I concur. Mm-hmm.
Very medical of you.
That was very Doogie Howser right there, right?
That was my favorite show back then.
Oh my God, now everyone's going like, you guys are old. What's Doogie Howser? Neil Patrick Harris, 80s, hello.
They had a reboot of that show.
Yeah, they did. And did it fail?
I don't know. I never watched it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't remake classics. That's a whole nother small talk for another day. I get all
future
fired
episode. Oh yeah, that's a whole other subject.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited you're in this journey of me being in the next decade.
I mean, look, yeah. I mean, obviously the next decade, but I think the idea is that I had this. I hope that if there were a blessing for you on your 40th, is this idea that if we are beings come from the great Creator, and we're made in the image of the great Creator, then in theory, we're born to be creators. It's in our DNA, and so I have always respected you because you just, no matter who's watching, you make content for yourself, and that's very much in alignment with the way, or what Rick Rubin, has talked about in his writings. And it's super important to be in that place. Most people don't get there. And so to me, it's like at 40 for you've been doing this for years, creating all the time, that it's, whether it be your photography, editing, shooting, it just becomes so important that, we really care about the outcome of things as creatives, like who will see it. Will it make us, popular? Will it be big? Will it make sense? Will it resonate? But the idea is that what you're doing is really more about, living a life of legacy, not so much what you leave behind, but more about how you lived your life in action.
In putting out the podcast, it's one of those things where it's like removing that thought from my head of being, people thinking like, oh, why is she saying that? I was like, who's she? La 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 la. But it's like, just put it out there. It's like, this is partially for you or me, for people listening. And for anybody who's, a guest here, and it's like, I like to create. I generally do like talking, but most of the time I'm not. I'm very much for anyone who knows me personally, I'm very much like the behind the scenes quiet person, but there are moments where I enjoy conversations, just like these conversations that we're having right now. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you're a completely different person when you like, yeah.
Yeah, it's also about making space. I've learned that the value of making space is not so much making space, meaning like, setting up this podcast and, coming down on the train to San Juan Capistrano to record an episode. This idea that you are making space to create. Most people don't even know how to do that. And the second thing is, you have more guests than I do. I mean, I create a lot of stuff. I've made music, I've done paintings, I've done a bunch of stuff, and nobody knows about it because I don't know if it's insecurity more than, I just don't want to hear people's judgment. Like I like it, I don't want to hear what you have to think about it, but that's what I like about your tenacity is like, the willingness to like put it out there. That's a big influence to me, and I appreciate that kind of inspiration from you.
Yeah, it's like me coming out of my own comfort zone. Talking and being in front of the camera is like something that I've had to learn to accept, but also learn to be comfortable with myself. Even like looking in front of the mirror, because we have that moments where we're like, oh, why do I look like that? Every day. So it's one of those things where it's okay to be uncomfortable, to be comfortable.
Do you think you'll get to a point where you're like, just like you said, it's, showing up for yourself, but do you think at some point you'll actually enjoy it more? Or do you enjoy it now?
Definitely enjoying it now a little bit more than when I first started. Because I could definitely tell, like, watching a few past videos that I've done, I was a little more timid and rigid. And, like, because in my head, I'm thinking, like, people are going to see this and they're going to, like, think, some kind of judgment on me. And I'm, like, very sensitive, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's, like, it's helped me build a thicker skin than I had before. Where it's, like, who cares? People are going to have their opinions, but this is me putting myself out there for literally being vulnerable to an aspect for everyone to hear and see.
That's what people resonate with, right? It's the people willing to be vulnerable about their feelings. And because when we do it, when we really share our feelings about things versus our thoughts, I like podcasts. Obviously, there's a lot of thought. Like, this is what I think. This is what I think. But I think podcasts are really powerful, and like, this is how I feel, because now we're speaking to more of the human experience, and I think that's just, there's so much universality in our suffering and our pain. I mean, we all suffer mentally and physically, each of us. It really comes down to like the degree in which we suffer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, happy birthday.
Thanks.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jenn Razon, because I always say your full name. Happy birthday to you.
Woo. Oh wait, this one deserves this one.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Be sure to tip your waitresses and your wait staff. Yeah. You're putting it out there, and I think that's I'm all about it. Hopefully I'm older than you, and not that much older, but it's important. You're leading the way versus, so sometimes we lead from the front, sometimes we lead from the back, and you're leading from the front, and I'm happy and proud for you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I'm happy and proud for you too, because you've been a big inspiration for these last several years, whether you realize it or not. You've been an amazing friend and colleague since our college days.
I know.
Which is like, thinking it's like, what, 20 years ago?
20 years.
Wow. Yeah. It's a long time. We old.
Well, it's more like I've known you half your life.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Blow your mind right there, right?
That is true.
That's crazy. 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of my closest friends I've known since the second grade, and it's been 30 plus years now. That's a long time. And then my second closest was like in high school, so that was like 20 plus years. So it's one of those things where, you're shaped by the people you have in your life.
Yeah, and they say you are who you surround yourself around. I think it's more like, I've had friends come and go, and there's a season for a lot of friendships. And that's why it's like, although we have 20 years, I think the value to me is today. Yeah. Today is really the marker, or like, oh, how's so-and-so? It's like, it's really important to like check in with our peoples, our tribe, and really, say, hey, what's up? Not like, oh, tell me the good things so I could say, hey, good job. It's more like,
I mean, there are moments where, we do get a little bit busy, and there are times in between where it's kind of like a crickets.
What are you talking about? I talk to you every day. What are you talking about?
I mean,
other people?
Other people.
Man.
There are those crickets moments, but at the same time, you're. Wait.
That's not crickets.
That's not crickets. No. We'll change that.
I gotta fix that sound effect.
But we still know we're in each other's lives, and then we'll catch up when we catch up, and it's like almost like time hasn't really passed in between. And
I think the difference is like time passes, but for me, I had this connection to a lot of people in the past because I never keep them out of my heart. I think that's really important. It's like,
same.
Yeah, the connection of like, oh man, we just pick up right where we left off. It's because I'm always thinking about them. They're always in my heart. And so that's why keeping that heart open to like, well, I haven't heard from them, I'm going to close my heart off, right? This idea that people don't reach out, close off, versus, I just love them all. And yeah, people have their own jams, their own dramas. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I know you're going to be a frequent person on this podcast because you are one of the voices I do trust,
And I talk a lot.
Well, aside from that, you are definitely, I value your opinion, and you know this. I've said this so many times, and the wisdom that you like to express actually does help a lot. And with this, it'll help so many other people as well. Hopefully, whoever fan follower that we get, but everyone's voice needs to be heard at some point or other.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how long or how short. My voice, your voice, our friends' voice, whoever's we're going to have as guests, their voices need to be heard as well. So it's one of those things we're going to give, for this podcast, some other people opportunity to kind of like make their voices heard.
Yeah, giving voice to the voiceless is one of my great passions, the call-ins, but I think it's also when people realize that their voice is absolutely necessary to the ethos of us. Most people just don't speak up because they're like, no one hears me.
Kind of like I'm running for those who can't run.
Yeah, we talked about it. You're running for me. I can't do the miles I used to, but you're running, and so you represent. You represent us. You represent me and our people, our motherland. Yeah,
exactly. So it's one of those things where there is a purpose why we're sitting here today.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, a little segue to my charity marathon for City of Hope. We are at $1,225. Tiny bump, but better than nothing. It's great.
That's great. You still got time. How many weeks you got? 5 weeks?
5. So I will, for those of you listening and would like to donate to this amazing cause of me running the LA Marathon, 26.2 miles, but also raising money for City of Hope, I will put the link on the descriptions and in the show notes. So guys, check it out. Do donate. It is going to an amazing cause. Ian was a recipient there of a bone marrow transplant and had his treatments. And he is here sitting right across from me today if it weren't for that.
A miracle.
It is a miracle, and sharing his wisdom for you all.
Yeah, as a survivor, I can't say thank you enough to you for running for us. And, every step you take is for us to, for me, my kids were 4 and 1 when I was sick, and now they're 14 and 12. And I feel like without the sanctuary of City of Hope, I wouldn't be here. And so for you running for us, it's not just me, it's all survivors. So thank you.
Yeah. Again, I think one of those things that especially for longer distances, I like to put a purpose to it. And this is giving me a purpose. Running those long miles and long runs, that's one of the things, like when I'm in my Zen mode, I think about the people in Helford who look out their windows going, I wish I could run again. So there you go.
Yeah. Congratulations and happy birthday.
Woo! For you listeners out there, if you want to listen or subscribe to us on YouTube or me on YouTube, you can see the video podcast on here and see me doing my coffee table run. I will put that up there. But also, if you're on the go and just want something to listen to, we are on Spotify under Small Talk Tuesday and on Apple Podcasts.
You're so big time right now.
Woo! Let it rain.
Make it rain.
Podcasts.
Just go out and make it rain, Jen. Oh, that feels so good.
Oh, man. We're going to have fun with those buttons once we get it figured out.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, until next time.
Yeah. Be well, be happy, be healthy, and just be happy in being. Yeah.
Exactly.
Be here now.
All right. See you all next time.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.